Hello, everybody. This is Robert Martin, and I'm really happy to be here with you. I'm a last-minute replacement for someone who just could not be here, and so I'm so sorry. I hope that whatever took her away from this situation, I hope she's doing well. And I hope you're not disappointed that that I'm here. So it's good to be here with you. I've been a colleague of Beth for about 4 or 5 years, and it's been great to work with her, and I'm so glad she asked me to be with you. So my name is Robert Martin, and I used to work at Wesley Seminary as dean, and had a great time. And right now I'm back in Kansas City. We've been living here for about 20 years, and I'm doing some work here. I have some announcements to make to you. So for the closed captioning, those of you who want and need closed captioning, there is a string link in the chat room. You'll see that in your chat room. There's a link to the closed captioning that you can avail yourself of. And then also, this session will be recorded, and there will be a link posted at a later date, and that probably will come to you by email. And so hopefully that'll be a good resource for you later. We have quite a bit to do in this hour, and I'm looking forward to talking sort of at you, but I don't want this just to be me talking at you. I want us to meditate. So this, the title of this session is Mindful Leadership. But so what Beth and I discussed was that we were going to get into mindfulness meditation. And I've had some experience in that, and I'm really committed to that. And so we'll do some meditating here in the hour. So if you can, if at all possible, if you can arrange your setup so that you can sit back or even stand up, that'll be fine. But if you can close off some of the distractions maybe around you, and you can come into this space with a meditative heart and mind, we'll actually meditate for about 7 minutes a piece. We'll do it twice, and we'll meditate for about 7 minutes. We'll do something like a riff off of mindfulness meditation that I hope will be interesting to you and helpful. So not only something that will ground us and help us meditate now, but also a meditative program or process. I'll guide you through the meditation in a way that hopefully will give you some indication what you might do in the future for your own meditative practice. So so in this session, we're primarily interested in how mindfulness meditation grounds leadership and activism. So I'm working with 2 colleagues right now here in Kansas City, and we're on a website and a process by which we are offering a meditative practice specifically for leaders and activists. We want meditation to both ground and sustain activists, and we also want the activism, the activity that we do, the leadership of others, to come right out of the centered groundedness in the unity that we are down deep. I know that you've been reading Parker Palmer, whom I love dearly. Let Your Life Speak is the book, and the question that seems to be salient here is, am I living the life that wants to live in me? Am I living the life that wants to live in me? And so the question, I think, for us, both, all of us, me, you, all of us together, is how can we be more authentic? How can we be true to the genius and the principle and the truth and the goodness of the movement of whatever movement we're involved in, how can the truth and beauty and goodness of that movement be authentically in us so that we are grounded in it and it continually fuels whatever we do? So the question is, how do my actions and my responses project that reality? Rather than projecting our own reactivity and our negativity, our stress, our frustrations, our trauma, how instead can we be authentically projecting peace, light, love, compassion, understanding? How can we be projecting that in and as we are leaders in organizations and activists for a variety of causes? So just a little bit of history about me, just to get you kind of oriented. I've been a professor of practical theology for about 30 years, and I was dean at Wesley Seminary in charge of their academic program and their student life. And along the way, I've been involved in congregations and trained a lot of people in nonprofit and business and law, and of course, pastoral ministry. My own experience with meditation is that I started teaching meditation. I've kind of always been involved in it, but I started teaching it as a regular part of my leadership education about 2003 or 4. And I must say, you know, so I meditate regularly and I love it, but boy, I'm not perfect. I struggle every single day. Sometimes the meditative process is easy. Sometimes it's very, very difficult. Always my mind wanders and I find it hard to work it into my schedule, even now. So I'm coming at you, not so much like an expert, but just someone who's experienced in it, and I'm still learning and trying to deepen my practice and also regularize my practice. So I have some experience. I've certainly studied it, and most definitely I've benefited from it. I have just a personal testimony. I had pretty serious back problems, neck problems, and I turned to massage and meditation before the next phase. After a bunch of medical treatments, the next phase was to get surgery and have the vertebrae fused. And so I turned to a specific form of meditation and massage, and then some exercise. And let me tell you, that was about 14 years ago. So meditation has changed my life in more ways than just the physical, but it has certainly been a life-changing and life-enhancing process for me. So, and right now, as I said, I'm working with 2 colleagues, Karen and Diane, and we've started an educational process in meditation study and practice. And our website, if you ever want to go there, we have some resources there that you can avail yourself of. It's called WeRiseNow.org. WeRiseNow, one word.org. Okay, so I'd like for us to answer a question. It would be helpful for me if you could go to the chat room right on the side. Mine is over here on the right side of my screen, but it would be good. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'd love for as many of you as possible to write in what your answer is. So the question is basically, are you relatively experienced in especially mindfulness meditation? Are you experimenting in some type of meditation now? You know, you dabbling maybe, but you're experimenting with it, trying it out. And the third category is, have you tried it, but it didn't work really well, or you're frustrated with it? Or the fourth category is, you don't have any experience and you don't even know what mindfulness is. So that would be really helpful to see in the chat what you are. Are you relatively experienced? Are you experimenting? Have you tried but didn't go quite so well or as well as you wanted? And are you fourth, really unfamiliar with meditation or with mindfulness? So that would be really great. The other thing I think I'd like to say just right off the bat is that while we will be talking about mindfulness, I do want to give a shout out to yoga, and to make sure that we all know that yoga can be a tremendously powerful meditative process. So often yoga has been Americanized and made to be an athletic practice, and we have loud music during it, and it's all about pushing yourself, and it's being ego driven. But yoga can be a tremendously powerful meditative process that helps you concentrate, helps you rest your awareness in your body while your body's under some stress. But so I want to make sure to give a shout out to yoga. So I really love it, and that has been very helpful for me. All right. I see in the chat room we have some experimenters, tried and didn't work well. Great. I'm so glad to have you. We have an emotional intelligence trainer and training, and you're training now to be a yoga teacher. That's really wonderful. So I'm going to be, please don't, well, I will try not to say anything that's too wrong to you. So let's get straight into some distinctions that we ought to make, and then we'll move straight into a moment of meditation. There's several distinctions that I want to bring to your attention. First of all, what in the world is mindfulness? Mindfulness is really quite simple. It's basically settling your awareness on one thing and letting everything else rise and fall and drift away, pass away. It's about concentrating without any effort whatsoever, because as soon as you concentrate, as soon as your brow is furrowed and your eyes are focused, then that activates your ego. It activates your agency, which is a good thing. Ego is good, it's wonderful, but our society, our culture is very ego driven. We are all about doing it, about getting it done, about accomplishment. And so that's fine as far as it goes, but we are much more than our doing and our accomplishing and our agency. We are beings. And so if we can first and foremost be, if we can center ourselves and ground ourselves in the unity that we are, and we can rest in that, then our ego can be activated, but it's activated from within that unitary state, that state of peace, of calmness, so that the ego is not necessarily trying to control others. It's not, the three actions of ego are flight, freeze, and fight, flee, and freeze. And in many situations, we really don't need to do that. I mean, in some, when a tiger is chasing you, yes, you need to flee. And when someone is coming at you, trying to hurt you or your children or your family or somebody you need to protect, then yes, you need to fight. But oftentimes when we're in regular relationships, when we're trying to lead an organization, our ego needs to be relativized to the unity that we are. Okay, so meditation is first and foremost about helping us, allowing us to rest within the unity that we already are, and to gently discipline ourselves, gently discipline our consciousness to settle in that unity and be able to detach or let go of our thoughts and emotions, so that we are not reactive to those, that we are free indeed, we are free from being embedded in thoughts and emotions and in situations, and we're able to respond to those people and situations in a way that is loving, kind, compassionate, and gentle, etc. Another distinction, that is the religious, the spiritual, and the mental. Mindfulness meditation doesn't have to be religious at all. It is for me, but it's first and foremost a mental technique, a way of training one's awareness, one's consciousness to detach from those things that in which we're embedded. And so mindfulness meditation especially is more like a mental exercise. It's more like practicing scales in music, or in football, throwing the football over and over and over, or in golf, hitting that teeny little ball with a long stick and a paddle on the end. That those, and martial arts as well, and yoga, the same sort of thing. It's about, in any of those exercises, the process is to allow your consciousness to go into your body, to be unified with your body in a relaxed state, so that whatever action you take, it is coordinated with your body, and it is exactly the action that needs to be taken. You think about an athletic, throwing the football, or throwing the ball, or hitting the golf ball. The more tense we are in those activities, the less grounded we are, and the more we're thinking about throwing the football or hitting that stupid little golf ball that I can't ever hit well straight. But if we're constantly thinking very narrowly about those activities, then we can't do them well. Athletic activity and the practicing that goes into it helps us get out of our thought, out of our minds, and into our bodies, so that we can act from that unitary state and do what needs to be done with grace and effectiveness. Same thing with music. We practice scales over and over and over and over and over. Why? Not just to practice scales, but to put it back into the music, so that when we get to that hard part, those few measures that are really difficult, then it's music again. Our minds are not focused on those few measures. Rather, our mind is focused on the arc of the music, the musical phrase, and how to make it beautiful. So that's what I want to stress, is that I find that meditation, especially mindfulness meditation, is definitely a mental exercise. It's a practice. It definitely has spiritual impact, and it can have religious impact as well. But it doesn't have to be if you don't need it to be. The other thing is that meditation has been shown throughout in medicine and science to reduce stress, to produce greater immunity to disease, to benefit your psychological health. It is very helpful in addiction recovery. It is used in trauma treatment and to reduce chronic pain, et cetera, et cetera. So there are a lot of benefits to this. What we're going to focus on is the process of the way by which meditation helps us lead and become more active, more authentically active. The two other distinctions really quick. One is, as far as I'm concerned, in this presentation and this Zoom, we're going to say that meditation and contemplation are essentially the same. I'm not going to worry about the distinction. So we'll just leave it at that. The other thing, for those of you who are new to meditation and who are frustrated by it or frustrated with it, I want to say just a brief word about the breath. It may not be very apparent why the breath is so important, but mindfulness is we use our bodies, we center our consciousness in our bodies, because our body is the site of our person, of who we are. And so to ground our consciousness, to let our consciousness kind of drift downward, as it were, from our mind, from our brain, yeah, and a lot of times right between our eyes, we have this focus and of our awareness. But to let that drift down into your body helps your mind and body become much, much more unified. And your breath is especially important with that, in that process, because first of all, it is bodily, but it's also a regular rhythm. And so the rhythm of breathing in and expanding yourself, your torso, and then letting it go, letting it contract, letting the air go, that is a wonderful rhythm by which we can open ourselves to the world, let the world in, let the sensations in, let your senses take in the world. That's the in breath. And then also your out breath, you are better able to let go of your thoughts, your emotions, what you've been hanging on to, what is driving you crazy. But so there's this regular rhythm within your breath that is key to a mindfulness meditation. And that is being open to reality, letting it in, but also at the same time, letting it go. Relaxing your grip on it, relaxing your sense of control, and letting yourself just be here now. Okay. So for right now, I'd like us to meditate, and we'll experience this. I will guide you through the meditation. It'll be about 7 minutes. Please get comfortable. I'm going to turn off my video so that you're not distracted by me, and then we will just sit and meditate for a while. My microphone will be on still, and I'll guide you. All right. So I hope this is beneficial to you. So we'll start. If you would, get comfortable. Take a few deep breaths to be here now. A deep in breath and a relaxed out breath. We want to let go of where we've been, what we're thinking about, where we will be, the list of things we need to do. So we'll breathe in deeply, and we'll breathe out and let go. And as you breathe, bring your awareness to your eyes and let them soften. Bring your attention to your eyebrows and let them relax. Just let them fall with gravity. Bring your awareness to your cheeks and let them fall. Let them rest. Bringing your attention to your jaw. Let it relax. Let it hang a little bit. Dropping your awareness just a little bit further down into your neck. You can move your head a little bit from one side to the next, feeling your neck muscles, and let them relax. Let gravity have its way. And the last body part that we'll focus on are your shoulders. It's where we keep a lot of our attention. So bring your attention to your shoulders. You might want to move them forward and backward, and then let them soften. And check your shoulders, neck, and head for anything that may have tightened up again, and let it rest. Take a few deep breaths and feel the relaxation. With each in-breath, open, and with each out-breath, let go and relax. Bring your awareness now to your whole body. Notice especially that you are sitting. Take note of the feeling of sitting, the weight, the mass. As you breathe in and out, let your body sink into the chair, your weight resting on the chair. Take note of how that feels. Let your awareness rest in your seat. Notice also the feeling of breathing. Notice what it's like to breathe in and out. You might rest your awareness wherever it's easiest. In your abdomen, perhaps, as it expands and contracts. Perhaps you can let your mind go to your chest as it lifts and falls. Maybe you notice the air passing through your nostrils. Wherever your attention may go easiest, let it rest there and notice the feeling with curiosity. Breathing in and out, expanding and contracting. Take a few moments to rest in that awareness, following your breathing in and out. It's very common that we start to think about something, and that's totally fine. We can bring our awareness to notice that we're thinking. We can make a mental note that we're thinking. We can label it. This is thinking, this is remembering, this is planning. And then gently bring your attention back to the breath. Gently settle your awareness in the in-breath and the out-breath. If your attention also goes to a sound or a sensation in your body or to another thought, just make a mental note of it. Then bring the attention gently back to the breath. And we let go of our thoughts and feelings as we settle our attention back to the breath. We'll take a few moments to do this. As we come to the close of the meditation, we can open our eyes slowly and take note of our surroundings. Notice what it's like to be here in this moment. What it's like to be where you are in this moment. Take a few deep breaths with your eyes open. And we'll come back to the video. So mindfulness is the practice of being present with attention. And we can use the breath to help us be even more present, even more attentive. If we have time, we'll move to another meditation and we'll explore a bit more how we can let our thoughts drift in and out, float in and out of awareness. And all the while you are detached from them. And the thing about that kind of meditation is that while we might think that we're failing when we have thoughts and we follow them, you might think that's failure. But actually, that's exactly what mindfulness is supposed to do. So every time you shift from your thought back to resting your awareness in your breath or in your body. Whenever you make that shift, that is exactly the reason we're doing it. So it doesn't matter how often you do that, because the more you do it, the better the better you will be able to make that shift. So actually, if you find yourself thinking and following your thoughts all the time, that's not a bad thing. And so be gentle with yourself, be kind, don't worry about it, because the shift is what's important, not how many times you make the shift from thinking about something to settling your awareness in your breath or in your body. So that's the key thing I want to get across. Now, if you have questions about any of this, please write them in the chat room and we will check with them. So Austin is the operator. He's the one pulling all the strings here. And so Austin's going to help me identify questions, and I'll look over there as well. What I'd like to do, though, is to talk to you a little bit about why I think mindfulness is so important to leadership and activism. Those of you who are in leadership positions, those of you who are deeply concerned about what our society is going through right now and the stress and the turmoil that is in society at this point, those of you who are deeply aware of and committed to bringing greater justice, greater communion, a spirit of love into this world, you know that there's a lot of stress around leading other people and working to bring folks together in community to make change. And there are some very specific problems with that kind of activity, that in which our ego is triggered, it is reactive. Our ego wants to control things. It wants to accomplish things. So there are particular problems with leadership, or conditions of leadership, that in which leaders and activists are particularly susceptible to egoistic activity. First and foremost is just the impulse to do and to have results, right? So if you're going to lead anyone, if you're leading a community, if you are trying to get new laws enacted, or trying to put together a rally on the corner, or then results are really important. That's how you know that you've accomplished something, that you're doing something actually that is worthwhile. But doing so, when doing and results are so important, then we may lose the reason why we're doing it in the first place. Second is, when doing and results are so important, when they become the most important thing that we are focusing on, it's very, very easy to objectify others. We can, if we're working sort of against some other group, then they become opponents. We can tend to stereotype them and demean them and diminish their humanity. So we can objectify others, but we can also objectify the very people who are gathering with us, who are on our side. Because so often, if we're in leadership positions we're trying to get other people to do what we want them to do. Well, if that's our primary way of thinking about those people, then we are objectifying them. They become objects in our, in our agenda. And of course, that's not what we want to do. So we want to be, first and foremost, treating ourselves and understanding ourselves as human beings with value and dignity, and that is the most important thing, that the humanity of these folks, that's the most important thing. And then the results and the practices that we're doing, hopefully that those practices, what we do, what we want them to do, will not only accomplish something, but we want it to humanize us all. We want it to be an activity, whether it's creating signs for a rally or putting together a Zoom call, or just whatever we're doing as a group in order to push the ball down the field toward the goal a little bit more. We want that to humanize us. We want to come together as a community. We want to become better part of people's lives and share our life more fully with them. We want to feel joy in what we're doing. And that is very difficult when we are objectifying others. So meditation helps us do two things. Meditation helps us get in touch with the inner unity that we are. Each one of us is a unified being. It may not feel like it. We may feel fragmented. We may feel that we have different drives and desires, and we have failures and all that kind of stuff, and our body may not work so well. And as I'm getting older, my limbs are creaking and I'm not able to move as well, and not able to eat as many things or as much as I used to. We may feel fragmented, but the fact of the matter is you are one person, and you are unified at your very ontological core. And meditation helps bring your awareness down into that unity that you are already. And it helps you integrate the various parts of yourself into greater harmony with that ontological unity that you are. So that's the first thing. The first aim of meditation is inner well-being and health, integration, grounding. The second aim is to not from that grounding, for you to act out, for all of your action, for all of your the manifestation of your being in what you do, to be true to that unity, to be true to that value, to that dignity, so that all that we do is an authentic expression of the love that we have for ourselves, the health that we are, the unity that we are, the value that we are, so that our action becomes more peaceful and compassionate. And in that respect, our action then becomes more effective, because it's in harmony with who we truly are and who everybody else most truly is. And so we're going to organize people coming out of our organizing is going to come out of that unity, and it's going to have the character of that peace and that harmony. And that is going to help us do what we need to do in order to create that beloved community that we want so desperately. So 2 aims of meditation: inner health and well-being, and authentic expression of that health, of that well-being, of that peace and compassion. So that by and by practicing this more and more, we help change the atmosphere of conflict and violence and hate and negativity. We help change that to greater harmony, to peace, to love. So that is 2 aims. Are there any questions about that so far? Let me recap just a little bit in terms of leadership. Leadership is particularly susceptible, and activism is particularly susceptible to the objective, the external elements. Who's in the room? What are we trying to do? Are we accomplishing our goals? And who is standing in the way of us accomplishing our goals? So leadership and activists, we desperately need to regularly recenter ourselves in the unity that we are, to feel peace and compassion for ourselves, in ourselves, so that then we can authentically manifest that in the world, so that the movement that we're a part of is characterized by that peace and love. Okay. So with that, it is 3:38, and we have just a few more minutes. So I was going to try to meditate with you one more time, but I don't think we really have time to meditate, because what I was going to do was try to focus on us letting go of our thoughts and constantly coming back to the breath and then letting go of thoughts. There are many tools that you can avail yourself of. So I've done a mindfulness meditation, a series of mindfulness meditations that do this kind of thing, that help you ground yourself in your breath and your body and let go of your thoughts. There are lots of other meditations that are specifically designed for mindfulness meditation, and you can get them on YouTube, you can get them on your phone as an app. So I would really encourage you to make it a practice of meditating on a very regular basis. So let me go over just a few tips that I think are really crucial for this, and I'm gonna go to I have on the website we have a blog, and I've identified some tips and tricks of the trade, as it were, to help you meditate better. Very hands-on, practical tips. And so the first thing, okay, so you can find them at werisenow.org. werisenow.org. That's our website. But also, and I would very much recommend 10%, the app, 10%. Insight Timer is a good one. Calm is another good one. Just those kinds of things. Let me talk just a little bit about, I wish this could be more interactive, but let me talk just at the end here about the power of meditation and where the real power lies. most of us do things episodically. We do a little bit here. If we're going to do meditation, we do this kind of meditation. We see how it feels, then we'll do that meditation, see how it feels, and then we'll go several days and we won't do anything. Then we'll pick it back up, and so we kind of jump around, and that's typical of this society, right? Because we have all of these things that we're juggling, and so we are. We're a society of ADHD. We're inculcating a society full of people that are having trouble concentrating and following one thing for a long time. The problem with that is that the power of spiritual practice, the power of meditation, is in its consistency, its regularity, its repetition. Why is that the case? The reason why that is the case is because our ego, when we do something new, our ego is activated, right? So when we are on let's say we're going on a hike and we're going to go into the woods. Well, we have a map and we don't know where we're going. So there's a little bit of anxiety, not much, but a little bit of anxiety. So we have to figure out where we're going. Your ego is activated in order to try to help you figure out where to go. Well, if the problem that we want to address in meditation is the problem of our ego taking control, right? Then what we want to do is relativize the ego. We want to help the ego let go so it can be relativized by the unity that we are. So we need to find a way to meditate so that we don't activate our ego, that we don't try hard. We're not concerned about failure and that sort of thing. A regular, consistent, repetitive practice is what's essential for us to relativize our ego so that our agency, our sense of agency, comes from this unified, peaceful, compassionate center. And as long as we're bopping around, we're activating our ego. But we need to train our ego to relax, to detach from control, to let thoughts and emotions drift by. And the ego is grounded in the self, in the unified self. So that's why meditate. So what I'm asking you to do is to find a meditative practice and stick with it for a long time, several months. Do it on a regular basis, every day, hopefully the same time each day, and let it change you. And it needs to become so part of you that you don't have to think about it anymore. All right. So that is, I think, where I'm going to leave it. If you have any other questions you would like to send me, and if I can respond to you, that would be fine. My email is rmartin@wesleyseminary.edu. I would love to respond to anything that you might say or question or comment. All right. So thank you so much for being here. I enjoyed this time, and I hope you have a good time in the next session. You are supposed to, so the announcement is you are supposed to check your email for the link to the second session. All right, and at the end of the second session, you're supposed to go back to the main session for a quick wrap up. All right, grace and peace be to you. Bye-bye.